Yeah.
from a Van Halen song, Leonard.
That's all I can figure out.
The best of both worlds. Yes.
That's the both worlds.
Leonard, didn't you just come back from some music conference? You probably got some tips.
Yeah, I picked this up.
Whoa, that is gorgeous.
Cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Woohoo!
I like that.
Nice costume change there, Steve. I love that.
Yeah.
That was so fast.
I got so much crap last week from Leonard for not wearing mine, so I had to put it out and get ready.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think my kids are tired of seeing me in it.
Oh well.
You have to represent, right? So
you got to. Just like Daffy Duck is representing with Bill.
Oh, look at all them tats. Wow.
Woo-hoo!
Muscle and tats.
There you go. Sounds like a song.
Yeah.
Let's write it. Go.
Yeah.
That's the thing about live conferences or in-person conferences. And for a lot of them, like musical instruments, you have to try this stuff, and this guitar I was going to buy last year, but I didn't pull the trigger on it because I already had an order in for the red one right back here. But this year I pulled the trigger, and it's by a Japanese guitar. I was about to say auto manufacturer.
Oh my God.
It's a guitar manufacturer. Yeah, and they have a custom shop here, I think in is it Escondido or Encinitas, somewhere. Actually San Diego has a lot of great guitar companies. Taylor Guitars is based out of here, Kiesel, and a few others.
Carver.
Yeah, and amps, PA guitar amp companies. It's kind of like beer, how we have like craft beer here in San Diego. We're famous for that.
Stone.
Yeah, we're kind of famous for guitar stuff. So and PAs and electronics. So music and electronics. So it's kind of cool. Long legacy. I mean, a legacy that stretches back to the 40s. And it's amazing when you go to the NAMM show. Hold on, you probably couldn't even hear me, right? It's amazing when you go to the NAMM show that you really get a great feel for how technology has influenced the industry. Electronics and just technology in general has influenced and digitally disrupted the industry, right? And that's one of the reasons why I go. And also, I don't want to go to like telco and IoT conferences all the time. See the same people, see the same stuff. One of the reasons why I go to shows like NAMM and as well as NAB, the NAB show. I just got back from the NAB show, which is the National Association of Broadcasters conference. That thing is 100 years old. They've been doing that thing for 100 years, and their problems, the way that they are challenged with spectrum technologies is actually very different from what mobile operators and IoT people are thinking. But it's interesting to see them talk about IoT and,
So who did, Leonard? Because I have a pending new client that was there.
Yeah.
And so what did you hear about that?
Related to datacast and 5G multicasting broadcast, trying to find ways to.
Was it ATSC 3.0 talking about?
Yes.
So was that like a Scripps or a Nexstar or any of those guys talking about it?
No, it was Sinclair. I have the name of the company. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did Sinclair have to say for themselves? Because are you guys familiar with ATSC 3.0 at all? So it is the TV broadcasters like Sinclair have frequencies that send out this ATSC 3.0 onto a Sony chipset that are in your 4K TVs.
Yep.
That is the antenna-based high-def signal that comes from a TV tower to your devices or to your TVs.
Yep.
It is a simplex one-way. So you think about cars for infotainment. That'll be all this data coming in from the TV tower to the car infotainment scenario. So it doesn't have to go through the 5G or 4G LTE chipset or module.
Yeah.
But it's 1 to millions. Like you could broadcast this stuff out to millions of people simultaneously with large data throughputs.
Yeah.
Which is incredible when you think about it from an IoT perspective. Right. Sinclair is doing their own thing. They've taken their own product offering around it, while the others we are in the middle of this at the same time. So I'm so glad that they were talking about it, because it's going to be interesting, because again, while you broadcast down one way, you still got to send the stuff back out. Right? So the issue that Sinclair has got is, okay, I'm going to put the Sony chipset into these things, but oh shit, now I got to go out on 4G LTE on the backhaul or sending it back out, and Sinclair doesn't have those kind of relationships. So it's
and that's one of the use cases they were talking about. Automotive. The other thing that they were talking about is OTA, IoT OTA stuff, firmware updates, broadcasting that. I mean, security is a big concern, but it's really security at the source, trusting the source. And then
I've talked, because there is so much bandwidth available. Talk to them about potentially encrypting the data from the TV antenna to the device, to the Sony chipset. So very interesting stuff. I'm glad that was talked about.
Yeah, and but it's still early days.
Oh, no doubt.
Working on this, for ramping up to this for 10 years. And it feels just like 5G. You know what I'm saying? And IoT and everything else. And I think that's really the crux of our show, right? It's like, look, guys, we can talk, Wizard of Oz nonsense all day long. It's not going to get you anywhere. Yeah. You come onto our show and you talk about stuff like this, it's going to open your eyes. It's going to also give you an idea how tough this crap is, and the dynamics of what you need to do to actually create a market. And none of that stuff is easy. I mean, listening to their stories, you realize these guys are up on stage going, we had to pivot. We're still pivoting. We're still trying to figure out, okay, the initial thesis didn't work out. So now we continue to pivot as we try to figure out, okay, how do we deliver on some of these promises that are diminishing over time? And that's something that everybody needs to think about.
Well, and the other thing, too, that I think is a challenge for all of us, the five of us for sure, is figuring out the use cases that people are willing to pay for.
Yeah, exactly. But even the thing is that here's a challenge with large scale innovation, is that it requires a lot of mind share upfront, infrastructure investments and stuff like that, and it's really tough to sell that. And when we're look at all this generative AI stuff, and we keep going back to this because I think it's just the most prevailing nonsense out there. People have really not thought this stuff out. They are really thinking in terms of like the end state. And so this smells just like the 5G dung heap. The friggin' datacast dung heap. It just smells like it. You know what? Actually, it smells really bad. It smells like the bathrooms at
Coachella.
No. Probably I haven't been to the bathroom.
CES.
It smells like
at the Las Vegas Convention Center.
Well, at least on this stuff that Sinclair was talking about, I can get use cases. I mean, I whether it's OTA, whether something. I mean, just think about it, Rob, from your standpoint. Coverage off a TV tower in the middle of nowhere for a smart ag situation with unlimited bandwidth that's sending it down to. I mean, we don't have to worry about coverage issues and backcalls of 4Gs and 5Gs and shit if this stuff works, right? Yeah. So you start to look at that. The negative piece is that it's not like we're going to Qualcomm for the chipset. We're going to Sony for it, And so how does the Sony chipset work with the wireless chip? It's like, and then how does the platform work with this thing? So there's all those kinds of things.
Technology,
I will tell you, at 67 years old, having been doing this for 34 years, new stuff like this is freaking cool for you, all of us, to find new ways of doing things and new technologies and figuring it out. I just, man, this is just so much fun. It's really cool.
You're 67? I thought you were at least 80. Come on, man. Just kidding, dude. You look wonderful. I wouldn't even thought, man. Well, you're the one that's disclosing your age to the interwebs.
Yeah, well, but I also played 4 games to 160 points last night on the basketball court and have a tournament this weekend. So keep up if you can, old men.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good point. Well said. Leonard, why don't you go ahead and cancel yourself now? You're ageist.
And we're only years away from putting our generative AI figure on this screen, anyways.
I love Elon Musk's comment about being labeled as speciesist by Larry Page.
Yeah, love that.
from his interview a couple nights ago. That related to obviously this whole AI stuff.
That was a great interview, by the way.
I know. I listened to it in the car both nights. God, Elon's so smart. He just is. He's on another plane, and it's interesting because obviously we're talking about this AI stuff, and I had a flashback when they're asking like, what I guess Tucker was saying, what the heck is speciesist, or why do we care? And Larry Page is like going, well, consciousness should be the same, whether it's digital or human or whatever. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, this is 2010 Space Odyssey 2 when they're finding a new way to kill Hal. But one of the crew members said, it makes no difference if you're based on silicon or carbon. We should all be treated with the same respect, and like Roy Scheider's like, so it's either them or us. I pick us. and that's what Elon's saying. I pick humanity, Right. This is like what Andrew Yang ran on when he ran for president. Humanity first. I choose us. This technology needs to serve us, not to supersede us or replace us, with its AI capability.
And I have to say that the 60 Minutes episode on Sunday night did a pretty damn good job of laying it out for America. Right. I mean, a lot of people don't like listening to interviews like you and I, or, all of us do, and understanding it from our way, or like last week's episode that we talked about. But they did a pretty damn good job, even to the point of where I had to spend 15 minutes with my 88-year-old mother trying to explain it. Talk about a challenge.
I bet.
What's that AI again?
Well, it's so funny because I said to her, Mom, do you remember like 30, 40 years ago when I said that I was making a career out of selling air? And you didn't, I had to explain that to you also. I felt like the same conversation regurgitating, like, this is what AI is.
She was probably saying like, oh, Stevie, this is like when you were trying to sell the pet rock.
Exactly.
The chia pet, Rob. It was just the chia pet.
We're gonna make millions selling chia pets.
Yeah, and you know what?
They're still around.
But there is this, I mean, you guys are making a great point. Humanity first, and there is this techno religion. I mean, people that just go around thinking they worship technology, almost like a religion. They'll tell you, oh, if you're not with digital transformation, then you're just, you're out of it. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a friggin' old fogey or whatever. It's like, no, you have to appreciate our humanity
exactly
first before you start looking at technology and how it can help. But everyone's talking about replacement. I mean, they're replacing human beings and just relying on AIs to do jobs as well as to create and displace artists. And it's like, you understand why there is art is because there's a human drive to express ourselves, and we enjoy the process. Like, I love playing guitar. I can't stop. It's just what I do. It's part of
Don't stop till you get enough.
There you go.
Now I have that song in my head. I think the scariest thing about all of the interviews this week is that we are already, it sounds like we have already surpassed, like the AI has already surpassed the whole level of not including the ethics, the values, the humanity discussion. Like, we are already way past that. Yeah. And so, to me, I have a massive fear in terms of what kind of power it already has now, what kind of power it will have with all the bad actors out there, fraud, scam, criminals. They're going to grab it, hang on to it, and create a million scams and fraudulent activity. And the tech is already there now, and that scares me to death. And I even heard this morning on the news, they were asking people on Fox News what was the topic they were most important. What was the topic of that's going to be important for them in terms of how they vote. And several folks said AI, and I'm like, whoa, they're saying
it's so
AI.
Scary, yeah.
I thought they were saying voting machines.
Voting machines. Woo!
Ask the AI how to vote. Yeah.
$1 billion. Yeah, so I think folks are waking up from all of the most recent interviews, but it's scary that the average citizen out there, they don't realize the power that it already has right now today.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
I mean, the force has got a lot of power.
And just when I don't know, Stephanie, if you saw the 60 Minutes thing on Sunday at all.
I haven't seen that one.
I mean, just a massive 17 Google data centers are tied to their AI processing program. 17?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even know this stuff. I mean, it's just like,
where did they say that those data centers were?
Oklahoma, Nebraska, South Dakota was one. So,
as Elon said last night, if you want to know where those data centers are, look for a heat signature because they're cranking.
That's right.
Just ask the intelligence from the Chinese spy balloons.
Yeah,
they probably already have all that mapped out.
They already know.
Well,
it's because it's interesting. The whole that segment on 60 Minutes was powerful, and then you get to learn about DeepMind, right? And then it's funny. Then 2 nights later, Elon's talking about DeepMind and Google as a unipolar AI power.
Right.
And which is why he started OpenAI as a counterweight to that. He said Google has all the talent. They've sucked up all the best AI people. And it's like, you can't let them go run rapid like that.
And they have the best legal department that knows, what is legal. Because nothing is illegal because the damage hasn't happened. So, but it is interesting to see regulators around the world. Here's the thing: we have this really weird, delusional perspective of ourselves as Americans. Is that we think that our brands are somehow,
especially Marc,
global and loved. The thing is that what's happening in Europe right now is far from love. They recognize for themselves the threat that a lot of these U.S. businesses pose to their countries, basically their region. This stuff is scary stuff. And that's why we see these topics of data sovereignty come up more and more and more. And, actually what's really creepy, I think we mentioned before, a very Chinese, CCP concept of internet sovereignty come up. Okay. And the weird thing is the threat is stuff like Gen AI, which now, you saw Italy as well as Germany and France and other countries now looking to maybe banning this stuff.
Yeah. But again, I'm gonna go back to a point that Stephanie
we have
made.
to watch ourselves. We are losing our minds.
It's like the next wave of GDPR moves into AI.
Well, and Stephanie, you brought up a great point about the bad actors around this. And if we look at, are we going to trust our leaders in Congress or whoever is going to start to put some of these restrictions together, that they know what the hell they're even talking about? Exactly. So, like, are they going to pick? Is my Marco Rubio going to pick up the phone and call, the guys at Google and say, "Hey, listen, explain this shit to me so that I can figure out how to make a law to prevent bad actors"? No freaking way they're going to do that.
No way.
Well, they've already held meetings and invited the experts into DC to have some of these discussions over the past few years, but I don't see or have heard anything that they're doing.
Whenever you see those public hearings on TV, bringing those guys in and talking to this bunch of old white guys, the guys in Congress look like idiots.
Right?
They're like idiots. They're like, I arrived at the Capitol building in a horse and buggy, and now I'm going to talk to the smartest people on the planet. Give me a break.
Right, and their staff members are, political allies also that don't know this shit. So how are they going to help?
Right.
This is we're at the level of emergency where it needs to be the baddest ass, brightest minds coming together and saying this is what needs to happen, because Congress is not going to be able to figure it out.
Well,
maybe why? Right here. What's the goal of that? Most of them work for private companies. What good thing private companies
because
can bring into the society?
They themselves. I mean, the only thing I would say to that is that they themselves know the power of AI and how what they may create may be the monster already out there and available. There's got to be some parameters there, or they themselves are going to falter. Those bad actors are going to bring that company and that brand to a level that could just take them out because they've created something that's going to wreak havoc on people, on fraud, or on finances, or whatever.
And I was impressed with Google's response on Sunday night, saying, "Hey, we're not releasing all this stuff. I mean, we are going to take our time and look at it and make sure and this and that." I saw concerns on his face, that saying, there are other companies that we're competing against that are just shoving this stuff out into the marketplace with no controls. So I was really impressed with Google on Sunday.
Yeah, but you know what they shouldn't have done? They shouldn't have went and tried to fast follow Microsoft by demoing Bard. What they should have done is, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to spend the next 30 minutes teaching you about responsible AI. And what you just saw last night is not an example of that. Let us get our data scientists to break it down, because the power of this technology is not in the technology itself. It's in the trust that we impart on it. And what you're talking about, Stephanie, is the fact that we believe that this AI is trustworthy when it is fundamentally not. It does not serve that function or is not capable of that.
It is.
Everybody has been.
That's not the focus, Leonard. That's not the focus.
But it's everything. That's where it gets its power. It's in the trust of the masses. And at the end of the day, what everyone believes is that power that the AI has. If no one trusts it, it has zero power. But the thing is, Sam Altman, we'll go back to that tweet. That tweet is going to be historic. It does a few things, a limited number of things very well to give you a misleading impression of greatness. That is what everyone should be meditating on, but we have gone way past that, and too many people going out there saying that this is going to give you the answer. You can trust it. It's good. It's going to do all these things that are fantastic. But the guys that are building the technology, that know the technology, are saying, no, I'm kind of scared of this stuff.
They themselves. That's the thing that I worry about. That's what I worry about, just having these interviews out there, having these television shows that are talking about it. That makes it, we're broadcasting it. We're using that broadcast term again, but we're broadcasting this out to all of the idiots, the bad actors, the thieves, the criminals. And when Google says, hey, we're not releasing everything, that tells me, I'm a hacker. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to find it. I'm going to exploit it. I'm going to leverage it. I'm going to use it. How do I get my hands on it? Who can I work with? I'm going to pull together some other hackers. We're going to get into this. We're going to find it. We're going to exploit it. So that's what gets my mind thinking. I think about, like, I put myself in a criminal's shoe, and I'm like, there's a lot of things I know I can do with that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're telling me that
the majority of the bad actors are typically going to come from inside.
Right.
They don't have to figure out how to go get it. They already have it.
That's the crazy thing about cybersecurity. You're right, Bill. You're right.
It's inside. It's insiders, right? I mean, cities get hit with ransomware, and 9 times out of 10, 82% of the time, it happens because of some inside person, an employee of the city. And it's not necessarily always a threat actor that's from the outside, unless the city has made a grave mistake and left a back door open. Oh, which, by the way, someone on the inside told them about it.
You're right.
They don't just go pecking around. The bigger problem with this whole piece of it is not the tech itself. It's counterproductive to the environment, which we're talking about needs to be fixed and sustained. The number of data centers that they're using to operate all of this stuff and the amount of carbon that they're emitting. Can we talk about that for a minute and why this should not be the thing that we're focused on? I'm going to write a report that's going to save me 5 hours.
Yeah.
Save it loud Leonard, in the back. For the people in the back.
What?
That shit'll never work.
That is so true. Number one, Bill, you hit the nail on the head. How many times have we talked about anything tech, cybersecurity, ransomware attacks? You said the percentages. There's so many bad actors from within, but you're right. We are sitting here talking about all these massive Google data centers, but the whole ESG, sustainability, green initiatives, and protecting Mother Earth, does that get thrown out the window? Like, do we?
What value?
We're complete reversal of the whole goal of saving our planet Earth.
Yeah.
We're going to commit digital suicide.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Yeah, this is like Waco 2.0 or Guyana 2.0. We're all going to drink the punch.
It's a friggin' depressing episode.
Well, you know what? It'll be really depressing.
Friggin' dark as hell, man.
What's really depressing, Leonard, by the end of 2023, this year, how will people know if our little coffee talk is real or not, or if the whole thing was faked?
Yeah.
How do you know if those interviews that you listened to were real?
That's true.
Well, hey,
that's the whole point. We won't know what anything is real anymore.
The whole example that got me thinking was someone calls me and says, and they put my son's voice on the call, and it sounds like him. And he said, they say they got my kid and they kidnapped him, and you need to pay X amount. And that voice is his, and he's like, Mom, and I'm like, that's a small little snippet of an example of it sounding, looking, feeling real. They could show me a video, and it's him.
It already happened. And then now banks are, banks were doing like a few years ago, started doing voice authentication. And, every single time they asked me, would you like to have a voice authentication? I said, no. Are you insane? No. And then, you know what? Some banks started doing it by default. So you would have to you didn't even know that they were doing it. All of a sudden, the IVR or whatever the call center chat bot thingy is asking you to voice authenticate. And it's like, when did I authorize that?
And you know what?
When you called and they said this call is being monitored for quality purposes.
Yeah. So how will videos, images, audio of things be admissible in a court of law in a criminal case anymore when it all can be faked?
Yeah.
And the defendant's lawyer is going to say, nope, generative AI created that whole video of my client killing somebody. You can't prove it. That's where this is out of control.
Yeah.
This is out of control.
Minority Report.
This is why Web3 has been invented. So Web3 is a solution, right? Blockchain is a solution.
There you go.
Well, but talk about bad actors. I'm trying to be one, so I asked it, what will be the winning numbers in Powerball this week? And it said, I'm sorry, but as an AI language model, I don't have the ability to predict future events or provide information about the winning numbers of any lottery. Fuck, I want my $20 back.
Hey, Marc, so so what are we going to do about it? And so some kind of technology by some cool startup with smart people needs to be created that think about a multi-factor authentication for everything you see and hear to verify that it's authentic and not fake. What is that? Because now all of a sudden things happen so fast. Everything we look at in the world could be fake for all you know. So we need a new kind of authentication mechanism, some identity, something that proves it's real, because this whole thing's going to get away from us really fast.
So take that, Rob. So what are you talking about? Like, what more?
What more? What should we do?
Sending a text message to you to authenticate? Is it biometrics? Is it?
I don't know.
You have to sign. So how do I know that your message is yours today? Because I trust. On the system, right? How do I know that a LinkedIn chat is made by you?
Just so everybody knows, if you want to know what
But this is why public and private keys were invented and encryption, right? So we should encrypt our messages with our own keys and send these messages.
Yeah,
and if you have my, public key.
Yeah, but the average person in the world, Marc, does not have that technical capability or a downloadable program.
But this is just a problem of user experience today, right?
Yeah,
so
but
you have to configure all the certificates from your family on your computer or your mobile phone. You can decrypt all the messages, right?
Okay, but am I asking the bank to give that information to me to do that, to run that?
What do you mean?
Well, if I want that kind of encryption on my banking information to my iPhone, isn't that the bank's responsibility to provide that for me?
Or is that your responsibility?
Well, at least from my experience with the Spanish banks, is that you have different keys and passwords with your bank, and you have your signing keys, you have your passwords, you have everything. So you sign. And in theory, you only know your signing keys yourself. So if you sign a transfer of money to my account from your account, and you sign it with your secret signing or transfer key, this is you, right? So this should be.
But that's multi-factor authentication, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's MFA.
If we depend on third-party companies, right? How do we know that they didn't do it themselves?
Well, no, and that's the thing. That's why I said it should be our responsibility. So, in essence, I should generate my own.
This is my certificate, so I will need to add my certificate.
It's similar to way back when I used to do a lot more wire transfers. From Wells Fargo, I would have to sign into my corporate account, and I would have this little digital key that was in my possession that would change numbers every 30 seconds or every 60 seconds. And
yeah, but that's RSA, right? RSA is still, there's still that third, that they're that middleman, and they own the keys that they're handing to you.
Right.
And so in essence, I'm saying eliminate that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
right. Get rid of them. Generate your own key.
Generate your own key. So it's got to be something that's controlled by the person, and it's got to be physical, or no? Does it have to be physical?
No,
because if it's digital,
right?
then I worry about it being
Web3.
No, it's not Web3, because Web3 assumes that there's going to be some kumbaya, universal thing, and that's not going to be the case, because nobody trusts each other. Okay, we're gonna, one of the things that's going to happen is that we're realizing fast that trust is the most important commodity out there. It's something that I already wrote about. Actually, it's in the Ofcom stuff that was the first research project for NextCurve. We talked about security and privacy will eventually lead to an urgency in fostering, trust frameworks. But the thing is that all of them are based on certain types of authorities and jurisdiction, and they will not be common. There will be like frameworks that can be applied to institute a let's call it a domain of trust. And I think that's what's going to happen. But there are technologies, and so as all this crap is happening, and I've posted about this for at least 3 years now, where the opportunity is tools, technologies that can foster these trust frameworks. And, here's the interesting thing, and this is why I love going to conferences other than the IoT ones and the 5G ones and all that stuff, is going to NAB. They talked about this thing called C2PA, which is basically a whole, it's kind of like a provenance framework for content.
Yep.
Because content is in threat right now, and also it's very difficult to determine, especially in broadcasting and journalism, what's actually real.
Right.
Content.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So this stuff is already happening, and this will eventually become big. Right now, the people who are advocates for this are begging people to get involved, which is super pathetic. Bold and brave of them, but it's pathetic that no one has come to the table and said, "Hey, look, we want to support this," right? And then Qualcomm also a while back, this is about 2 years ago, introduced some thing called photo authentication, where it basically uses like trusted execution environment within the chip to basically authenticate, or at least it marks a photograph as being generated from that device, right?
But a photograph are zeros and one, right? How can you probably this is hackable, right?
No, it's
wait a minute.
No.
It sounds like to me
a secure enclave. It's coded, and then there's a registry. I forgot the name of
it's a registry
authority
on the
that does it. Yeah. And so it would have to match that. It gets matched to the device, and so and then also gets registered with the authority. So
the classical
so
story that
attestation.
my camera has been stolen. I lost it in the sea. No.
That's attestation, right? I mean, basically, that's what you're saying. Attestation. It's proof that one, you are who you say you are. Two, you are the one that sent this. I mean, there's literally, that's what it is. It's attestation. And there are technologies that are in play right now that kind of help with that. But when you roll it back to something like AI and all these other things, there's just far too many issues, things that just have not even been thought about. People are so enamored with the notion of being able to do something with the technology, as opposed to the guardrails that are required to responsibly deliver the solutions that you're looking to deliver.
Do you think this is an Apple scenario where Apple has to get involved because of the vast amount of the shit that's here?
Well, I think it's good news that they haven't jumped in yet. Who knows? No one knows how good their judgment is, but I think they're going to take advantage of the whole trust opportunity, I think. And it's going to ruffle feathers in the open with the open ecosystems and players. But I think if they put the customers first, if they put humanity first, I think that's going to be it.
If they keep placing their bets on privacy and security, which is what's been their differentiator, and the way they've built their platform.
Yeah.
And nothing's fail-proof. No. We've seen all kinds of vulnerabilities there as well, but that's what they've always laid their foundation on. So I'm wondering, did they remain silent and then they go, you know what, we're placing our bets on security, privacy, and the protection of our consumers, our customers, and we'll watch the implosion of open systems that go the complete opposite direction.
Yeah. I mean, as a consumer, if that's what Apple does, I will friggin' stick with Apple 1,000%.
But are you going to trust like a technology that it's not transparent here, or you are going to trust like an open source?
We already talked about that. What's so great about open? There has to still be a company that invests in making it consumer and enterprise and industrial grade. There is no
consortium
open. Screw the consortiums. They can't get anything done. It's just ridiculous. It's nonsense. Still, the consortium, there's still going to be somebody who's going to be the 900-pound gorilla in the room that controls everything. So we have to get away from that notion.
And how long will it take us to take them to figure shit out? It's going to take years and years. We're going to way past it. There'll be a lot more bad actors by the time they figure it out.
By the end of this
year, we are talking about putting a chip on every camera and every mobile phone, that will take years to replace.
It doesn't have to be the same. It can be different. The only thing that really matters is the gravity of the authority that is going to authenticate.
And if I go back in time and think about the beginnings of something like private and public keys or multi-factor authentication, it takes you to the 1960s when the U.S. deployed 41 ballistic missile submarines, and they get a message from what's called the National Command Authority for a nuclear strategic launch, and they get a message, and it's got a code. And then the officers go to a safe inside the submarine. They know the combination. They open it up, they pull it out, and they break the seal, and it has a code. And that's how they authenticate that it's real. That's like the beginnings of MFA, right? And keys, and knowing that, because the danger is AI sends a fake message, just like in the movie War Games in the 80s with Matthew Broderick, that because this is what terrifies me about this AI. And depending on how far it gets into things, I'm already waiting for an unlimited number of lawsuits coming at these guys because they're grabbing data from everywhere that doesn't belong to them. And if they can get to weird data, if they get inside, the whole thing, when we sit here and talk about, one company or somebody we got to trust, if you get infiltrated, you can't even trust the company that's giving you the security that you're supposed to trust because they've already been compromised. I'm really worried about this.
I'm wondering, Rob, if it's a combination of what you've we might revert back to some of our old school ways of the way we authenticate and you think about digital files. When you have an original digital file and you make changes to it, there is a trail there, right? There's a trail there that lawyers go out and they'll hire the experts so they can see things that have been changed and dates, and there's a trail digitally that shows it. The modifications, it shows authors. There's all kinds of ways to manipulate that, but there are some trails there. And just like with your computer system today, your laptop computer, folks can go in and they can, even people that go and delete everything, they can say, oh, this was deleted. This is when it was deleted. This is what they tried to do to your system. And so there is some intelligence there on the back end. And I'm wondering if it's a combination of the old school methods and then having some kind of digital trail that actually has the data that shows all the manipulation that took place of that file, that picture, that asset, whatever.
This is what developers do with their source code repositories.
Yeah, so Stephanie, even today, like legal cases that take place, they'll go out and hire an expert, cybersecurity guy. They'll come in and they will tell you, yes, this computer that your employee had, this is what they did to it before they left your company, and they know every little detail. And those guys are really good at that. And I'm wondering if that kind of intelligence is what we need all the way down to the asset level of whatever we're using to create all these things.
So, Rob, you bring up a point about the information and the verification. Is there a blockchain piece that could be integrated to this?
Yeah, maybe so.
Well, I mean, that's what you use for attestation today.
Right.
I mean, that's what people are doing, especially on supply chain and logistics and things like that.
You know what? Blockchain's been a solution in search of a problem, and maybe we finally found the problem for blockchain.
Seriously. Not crypto. Not crypto.
I didn't say crypto.
Okay. I know. To the audience who don't get it, blockchain was hijacked by the crypto community to continue to pivot. Okay. We're talking about blockchain, the technology.
So Satoshi's going to save us all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just what I was describing about having the original file and showing the changes, and it has to be authenticated. That's blockchain.
Yeah. Track and trace.
Hey, all of a sudden we're not grumpy old people. Isn't that awesome?
Speak for yourself.
All of a sudden we're like freaking cool. I was like, oh, they said something good about blockchain. Yes, but we didn't say anything good about crypto.
You can wire transfer our Series B money to this code. Because we're cool now. We said blockchain.
Yeah, we said blockchain, and we said
But at some point at the beginning, when I joined the conversation, Leonard saw me very ludite, like you know the Luddites, or I don't know how to pronounce that in English.
Livid?
Yeah, the Luddites in the Industrial Revolution, that they were doing sabotage and everything to machine and terrorist attacks to machine and to the Industrial Revolution.
Yes, the Luddites and sabotaging machines. Okay. Yes, let's put the wooden shoe inside the gears to stop the machine. So
we are going to see these, right, on AI? What do you think?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it. I have audio issues. I don't have enough AI in my microphone to give me a
the blockchain on your microphone is interrupting the.
Yeah. No. Really quickly, what was that again? What's the question? I was nudist.
So in the 18th century, when the Industrial Revolution was happening, so there was like a ban of artisans that were against the Industrial Revolution, so they were doing sabotage and attacks to machines, etc.
Yeah, but but then you know what? The artisans didn't go away.
No,
they were worried that they would go away.
Oh yeah, that was stupid, wasn't that?
Yeah, some of them. Of course, because they were doing most of the work by hand. And they didn't do it anymore. So
I think it's crazy because I take a look back at our IoT Coffee Talk in a year and a half ago when we were talking about AI. It was more around the discussion of machine learning and modeling and intelligence and analytics. And now we've morphed into this super advanced technology that's going to disrupt our world in many bad ways. And it's that fast. It's that fast that our discussion has changed.
But let's be optimists. Imagine that a generative AI can improve the efficiency of solar panels by 100% of what we have today, or can cure specific diseases or
use cases there are positive use cases there.
So it's like it's like nuclear power, right? It's like the atomic technology, right? Of course, it's bad, right? But it can be really good on medicine, on energy, and so on.
But it goes back to what Leonard was saying. If we focus on humanity, and those are the positive things that we're do with it, that's great. But I'm still going back to what Stephanie said. This could crumble with bad actors.
But who are the bad actors? For me, are like private companies here.
No,
and governments as well, right? So. And this should be completely open source and an open technology for everyone.
Honestly, I'm not sure I agree with that one.
You're having a different conversation with that one. That's a different debate. But, we're talking about the application, not the technology, right? The application of the technology. So a lot of, and I mean, it's amazing that we're still confused about this stuff. And I run into people who don't see the difference between technology and the applications.
Right.
The technology is what it is. It is not powerful, right? It's the applications that impact our lives in the world. And it's the bad actor. It just happens that this technology, its capabilities are perfect for folks who do quote unquote bad things or annoying things like spammers, right? Digital marketers. That's the the distinction that we have to make here.
Well, it's not even just that. The scary thing is that a human can train it on XYZ and create something that's a bad acting, like whatever application, but that AI model can take a mind of its own.
Yeah.
And there doesn't have to be a human element at all and do really bad things.
Right.
Without human intervention.
Detached from our reality. What we think is a human reality, human values and stuff like that. Given what we saw with Project Tay, there is no reason why we should assume that this thing will continue to evolve in a positive way.
So AI does not have a conscience.
No, of course not.
So then what are the consequences to whom on the negative side? Like, there's no governing body. There's no, the Hague of AI. Like, what's the consequences when you get caught doing bad stuff?
This is a typical legal stuff, I suppose. That's all that's there.
That's kind of like what Putin's saying. Where's the consequences of me? Am I going to be dragged into the Hague next week, or am I just going to flip them off and say, "Go pound sand"?
Just flip them off, baby.
Yeah. No, you're right. You know what? It's good to be optimistic, and we should work on solutions. I also think just because humanity, there's a percentage of people that are just bad people. They're just evil. And we see that proven. Humanity will tear itself apart without guardrails. We see it every day. Anybody who thinks we're living in a real civilization is illusory.
Okay. But again, we're going to go back. So again, what's the governing body of AI?
Team America.
Oh shit, we're in trouble.
World police. Actually, the solution is Project Stephanie. We're all going to go out to a ranch in the middle of nowhere, and we're going to be preppers, and we're going to be. It's going to be like the Alamo.
Don't you remember when we were during COVID? We created a compound. Now we need to create another compound.
That's right.
This is going to be like Red Dawn by the end of this year. And
just call me Wolverine, baby. I'm a Wolverine.
And he's going to have to say sayonara to.
Exactly.
Yeah, Hannah, baby. Hasta vista, baby.
Awesome.
I have to go, by the way.
Oh, you do? All right.
Bye.
I got to chat with them.
Somebody's going to come looking for Sarah Connor.
I know. Oh, my God.
Her son.
It's really...
You know what? I know you're thinking that some of the stuff I'm saying is insane, but I'm thinking just about every bad scenario you can think of that could happen, it actually will happen.
Yeah.
Well, the people, money being withdrawn from their bank accounts, being tricked, like Stephanie's example.
Already happened.
Yeah, absolutely. It's already happening. It'll happen at the corporate level. It'll happen at government level. The fake videos, people getting arrested, people unable to prosecute bad people because they're like, wasn't me.
Yeah.
And they go, but we have video evidence. It's like, nice try. It was fake. The whole thing's fake. Wasn't me.
Right. Well, I mean, and Rob,
prove it.
Yeah, one of the things, Rob, that was brought up last week in Boulder at the meeting that that we talked about was how about just the grid and AI and bad actors? That'll cause you to not be able to money transfer. That'll cause you to not get gas. It'll cause you not to buy food. Blah 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 blah. Just bad actors from AI generated shit on the grid.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. All the bad stuff, the potentially bad stuff, is actually those are applications that are possible now. All the kumbaya, nice, hey, you know, this is going to give us a product uplift stuff. That's all hypothetical. It's the technology is actually not proven to have that kind of benefit or support that kind of application. So here, just really quickly, here's a conversation I had. Somebody said, hey, look, I used Gen AI or Chat GPT to come out with a draft of a proposal that we were going to put together. It got us about 60% there, and it saved us X number of weeks, where it took us a month. It got us in just 5 minutes. It probably saved us 2 weeks of work. And I said, well, it only got you to 60%. What about the remaining 40? Usually, the reason why it takes a month is because of that last 20%. So where's your evidence that this actually helped you?
You got to drop.
Yeah.
Right, guys. I'm sending you.
I think that means we have to close out. All right. Hey, to our IoT Coffee Talk listeners, thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe to, IoT Coffee Talk at www.iotcoffeetalk.com. Namaste. Remember to donate and buy our shirts. Okay. And that will be all the proceeds will go to our charity, which is Elevate Our Kids at www.elevateourkids.org. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.